What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys, I was going through all of the liquidity pools here that we currently give rewards to, and I'm just assuming, even though there are probably more liquidity pools out there, I am assuming that these have the most depth just because there are significant rewards tied into each. So you can see SPS BNB, SPS ETH on their respective chains, and then of course on Hive we have SPS DEC and SPS Swap.Hive. Now I added up all of the total dollar amounts in terms of liquidity, right? So this is like, let's just say we're going to round up. So like 1.9 million, 1.8 million, another, 673,000, and then 1.3, maybe even close to 1.4 million there. Roughly this gets us to about $5.5 million worth of liquidity, of which half of that amount, right? So we'll say 2.25 million is SPS. And with SPS at currently 3 cents, that gets us to about, we'll just say less than 100 million tokens. I think it was like 93, 94 million. Again, that's going to fluctuate over time. So here's the thing. There's only, in terms of like the SPS available at this point in time, there's only 2.5 million, or 2.25, I should say, million dollars worth of liquidity, and there's less than 100 million tokens that are available for sale, and that's kind of the important part here. So as we think through a potential wave of players coming in or a potential wave of additional utility that will come to SPS, whether that's land, whether that's SoulKeep, whether that's even just the team buying and burning SPS off the marketplace because of market transactions, all of that, or maybe even all of the above, right? So all of that combined and the potential that it has is actually quite interesting, because considering that we probably get at most maybe about like 1 million SPS per day. I know that number is still fluctuating around. It could be anywhere between 600,000 to 1 million. By the end of this year, will we add a couple 100 million extra SPS to the mix? We will, but that's not all going to make it into liquidity. A lot of that will come staked, meaning that people will just keep it staked for the most part. Sure, some might sell, and that might get a little bit more into liquidity pools and all that. But at this point in time, right, about a month before the halving for Bitcoin, a couple of days before the Killer Whales goes live, on like Apple TV, and we're in this kind of what I would say is maybe this calm before a potential storm that could be a very fun summer around crypto, Bitcoin, and maybe even just the macro economy as a whole. It's interesting to think about the fact that there's only, or less than 100 million SPS for sale. Granted, that's at this price at 3 cents. If we jump up to 6 cents, if we jump up to 9 cents or 10 cents, that might change, right? And that's not to say that people who want to sell are going to put liquidity into the marketplace. They would just sell it, but of course that SPS would then enter into these liquidity pools. But it is interesting to think about that at this point in time, there's less than 100 million liquid tokens that are currently available for sale. Now, obviously, the prices are dynamic. Anytime somebody dips into them, even at a significant amount, the price will go up, right? At which point you might get more people coming and selling. But when we consider 100 million tokens now, and maybe, I don't know, another 100 million or so by the summer, right? Because if we're getting about 1 billion a day, give it 3 months for us to get to the summer, right? Just roughly. And, that puts less than 200 million tokens available for sale, considering that, or, assuming that people aren't going to be selling en masse all of the rewards that they get. How much is that? Like, what's the perspective on that? Like, how much does that come out to, right? And I know you guys can't see my calculator here, but we already roughly did the math, right? So let's just say 150 million SPS, right? So 150 times 0.03, that gets us to $4.5 million. So again, these numbers are just rough. I'm not even saying that they're 100% law or correct or anything. All I'm looking at is how much money would need to start coming into the ecosystem, and specifically be going towards SPS, right? To make SPS scarce in order to start moving the price. It's a couple $1 million, which is not a small amount by any means, right? For all the shrimp out there, non-whales like myself. But for the whales, I mean, a couple $1 million is not much. And here's the thing. Once we get into this hopefully virtuous upward spiral, this life spiral rather than a death spiral, what could make it interesting is people will want to come in and earn more SPS because SPS continues to go higher. Granted, I think that can only really happen in a bull run when, fervor is high, when euphoria is high. And that's where I think that we'll be entering in over the next couple of months here following the Bitcoin halving. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not even trying to make predictions. All I'm saying is that these are some of the expectations, some of the assumptions that I have built in. And when you look at the numbers, it's not that much from a dollar perspective. And then maybe even more importantly, from a token perspective, right? You get people coming in that want to buy, in the tens of thousands of tokens, maybe even hundreds of thousands of tokens if they want to play at the higher levels. And things could get really interesting, right? Like, let's put it this way. I haven't even done the math yet on this, but 100 million tokens right now. Let's say we got 1,000 new players that wanted to come in, right? So divide that by 1,000 new players coming in. Each of those players would only be able to buy 100,000 tokens. Now, here's the thing. A lot of you are thinking, 100,000 is a lot, right? And you're not wrong. Like 100,000 is a decent chunk of change. It's about $3,000 US. But this is what I'm trying to get at here. Getting 1,000 players who want to play at the higher levels that want to invest and hold a decent sized bag of SPS, whether they're players or investors, 1,000 people spending a couple $1,000s, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, right? And then you get them fighting for it, fighting for what's available. You have folks like the rest of us who are holding on to our SPS, maybe for a higher price or maybe because we just want to play the game. And then, of course, you have any and all market transactions burning DEC that leads to more DEC demand that leads to SPS burning, and the team then getting in and fighting with all of those folks to buy SPS and burn it, and things could get really interesting. So I don't know where things will go overall. I have no idea. You know me, I don't like to make any price predictions. I just like to look at the numbers, share them with you, get your perspective, get your feedback. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I mean, is getting 1,000 players, a couple thousand players that all want to come in and play at, a decent level, whether it's, high gold or diamond, I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility. And if you watch my previous video, I was talking about 4,000 players would wipe, 4,000 max players, of which we can include the people that we already have, would wipe out Chaos Legion, the core set, right? All those 12.5 million packs, less than 4,000 actually. So it makes for an interesting thought exercise as we hopefully head into this upcoming bull market, where Matt is talking about getting players by the tens and hundreds of thousands. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, you get 1 to 3 to 5,000 hardcore players, people like us who enjoy the game, that want to compete at the higher levels, that understand what the team is trying to build from a Web 2.5, Web 3 mindset. And I don't think that number is very high. I think that there would be a lot of people out there. They may not all be players, right? Some of them might just be speculators that are, think the game is cool, but they're not going to sit down and, jump into Modern with their 24 battles a day. But they could just come in and buy a bunch of SPS, maybe buy some cards, buy some packs, and hold and speculate. And even if they just do that, even if they're just investors that are flipping, I would believe that it would lead to a significant amount of scarcity on the marketplace. And again, everybody's got a different sell price. Everybody's got a different moon that they're trying to reach, but we're still early in the bull market. And sure, some people might be making some trades right now. In fact, I'm sure many people are, but I would gather, I would not gather, but I would make the hard assumption that many people are thinking the assets in here could go significantly higher over the course of the next 12 to, maybe 18 months if we get a full-on bull run following the Bitcoin halving. And therefore wouldn't be trading like, buying SPS at 3 cents and selling at 4 cents. They'd be looking at this and saying, all right, what's the multiplier on this token, and planning their exit there. But like I said, once that scarcity comes in, once people are holding, that's when things get interesting. That's when, the nuclear price spikes like we're currently seeing in Bitcoin happen, right? But who knows if that's going to happen with us? Who knows if, when, how, all of that will play out. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. That is all I have for you guys in this video. I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.